Welcome to Accelerate OC, the only show focused on the people leading innovation in Orange County. Join our host, Kerry Ransom, in his conversations with the trendsetters, entrepreneurs, investors, and leaders here, because it's time to Accelerate OC.
Welcome to Accelerate OC. I'm Kerry Ransom, and thanks always to our engineer, Paul, for making me and my guests sound so good. Today's episode is sponsored by OC4 Venture Studio, which is the new tech startup company building platform and community growing here in Orange County. So if you're looking for a place to work on your startup, opportunities to work with the next generation of really exciting technology companies emerging here, or want to be part of that community, feel free to check us out at oc4v.com. I am super excited to have Larry Armstrong with me here today on Accelerate OC. And before we get to hear from Larry, let me tell you a little bit about him. He is currently the chairman of WARE MALCOMB, which is an international design firm that provides planning and architecture, interior design, branding, civil engineering, and even building measurement services to commercial real estate and corporate clients. And they have over 25 office locations throughout the US, Canada, Mexico, and even Panama. They've been an Inc. 5000 fastest growing private company. They've been a best firm to work by industry publications. And they also rank in the top 15 of the top architecture engineering firms in the world by one of their industry publications. So very fast growing, very well recognized company that he has been a senior leader of for a long, long time. So he is the strategic visionary. He's also an accomplished architect and the leader of this company. He's been an Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year award winner. They were recognized as well as a OCBJ OC 500 as one of the most influential leaders here in the community. And you will see through our conversation why he continues to be recognized as one of the key community leaders here in Orange County. And he's been with WARE MALCOMB for over 30 years, the last 25 plus as CEO, where he grew the revenue from when he started to now by over 40x. That is an amazing accomplishment. And this year he became chairman. He guest lectures at schools around here like USC and Chapman and UCI. And he's even given the commencement address at his alma mater, Kent State. We're both Midwesterners, so we'll talk maybe a little bit about that as well. He's super active here. We were just talking off the air about some amazing work that he's doing with United Way. And he chairs this really amazing effort here and campaign here called United to End Homelessness. And has done that along with Sue Parks, who's a prior guest of mine, Charles Antis, a prior guest here on Accelerate OC as well. And he also recently joined the CEO Leadership Alliance of Orange County, which those of you who listen know that I'm very involved as well. Larry, it is great to have you here on Accelerate OC today.
Well, thanks, Kerry. I love being here and looking forward to our conversation.
Absolutely. So let's get to the starting line. I gave a brief intro. You have had an amazing career at WARE MALCOMB. Can you think of another time, though, in your career where there's been as much disruption and change occurring around the industry that you're in than right now?
Definitely not. It's a very exciting time in commercial real estate, in corporate real estate. And, it continues to change even beyond what we thought a few months ago.
Sure.
So, e-commerce has had a huge impact on our business, and as well as our design of office space in the workplace was evolving at a very fast pace. And then all of a sudden with COVID, it's taken another turn. And so we are in the midst of figuring that out right now. So lots of exciting changes in commercial real estate for sure.
Sure. So how have you guys thought about that I feel like you've had this kind of initial shock and then probably a little bit of this paralysis, sort of react to the shock. How do we create any sort of sense of continuity? And now people are probably starting to plan a little bit, say, okay, what is life maybe going to look like on the other side? But how are you guys thinking about either the set of services or what even the firm is likely to look like in the coming years.
Yeah, so I think that a lot there. I
A
think
lot. That's
to
right.
talk about, but I think where our firm comes from is, we've grown up as commercial real estate experts, trusted advisors to our clients. We believe we understand real estate very, very well, and the changes that have gone in the economy and have come out of the technology and in the economy have driven a lot of the change. And so we've become national thought leaders in the development of office space and, e-commerce space and all that sort of thing. So specifically to, what we find ourselves in the middle of right now, which is this COVID pandemic, we're seeing that lots of companies had doubts about sort of this work at home idea or this agile workplace idea, and even in our own company as well as our clients, we're seeing everybody was forced into it. Anybody that could. Manufacturing is different, but office space. Everybody's sort of forced into it. We had departments in our company where there were doubts. It's like, well, can we really work remote? Are we going to be able to be efficient and successful? It's nice to sit next to somebody and have a conversation and look at a screen and try and figure out a problem. And, I guess we're lucky it happened now where we have Zoom and Teams and things like that, which help facilitate. But, you look into the future, and we're talking to our clients right now about what's space going to be after this, or what it is now. Sort of the first thing is, how do you return safely? How do you get your employees safely back in? How do you phase in? What are the protocols? What are the sort of the cleaning protocols? What are the shared space protocols? All this kind of thing. Are there masks? All this. And well, what's it going to really be? What are we going to be doing a year from now and 2 years from now? Are we going to have a vaccine? Are we just going to go back to normal, or do we see a permanence? And we think there is a permanence to this agile workplace, and I think that companies and people are now more comfortable because they found out by force that they had to do it.
That's right.
We see now that we can collaborate digitally and long distance. So it'll be interesting to see. There's a lot of theories out there about future demand for office space. Is it going to be there? Are people, are companies just going to take less space and work agile workplace into their program going forward? We believe so. To the extent that happens, we don't know yet.
Sure. Well, it seems like it's going to be this wide continuum, right? I mean, I think
people like human interaction. I mean, you and I are having this great conversation, and we're both now very comfortable doing it, right? But the people in we've opened 12 of our offices. As of today, we have half of them open, basically. We're only allowing 20% into the office.
Are you doing it on a rotational?
Yeah, just whoever wants to. It's not mandatory. Just trying to take steps, right? But the people that come in are so happy to be here and see their coworkers, in person. So we're going to find out. We don't know. 2 years from now, we'll know.
Well, I think the interesting thing from my perspective is because this was forced on so many people, as I think about the other side, you're going to see this significant continuum of different corporate cultures that people will have this ability to almost opt into. 100%. Right? Where, hey, I want to be remote. I mean, I've had a lot of different companies and a lot of different cultures as far as how work gets done. And one of my last startups, we had one of our best engineers was nomadic. We really didn't ever know where he was, but he would be on calls and he got work done, and it sort of was up to him to make sure he had connectivity and availability. And other than that, we didn't really care. And so
exactly.
I think that's like this far into the spectrum. And then you have these other people that want routine, predictability. I want to know I have a place to go and a space to go to. And I think you will end up with probably just a lot more diversification there.
100%. I believe that. Everything you just said is, I think, what's going to happen. So I think it's good.
So I started the show a year ago, So I just literally had my kind of 1 year anniversary of Accelerate OC. And really the reason I did it was to have these kind of conversations. I've had this great fortune of meeting amazing people here in Orange County. And I just wanted to have these conversations, record them, and share them with others, because we just don't get enough of this dialogue and conversation happening. So as you think about what's just happened to us, though, and I was super excited to talk to you because we have a world-class architecture and commercial real estate firm based here in Orange County, and it's just another example of the kind of innovation and leadership that exists here that influences globally, right? And so as you think about this inevitable change that is starting to happen in how people are going to use space to get work done, why don't we as Orange County really get behind that and invest in those innovations, right? I could see your firm, for example, working with companies to help people configure home office space.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
So like that could be a whole new business initiative or something. So thoughts on how do we take this world-class capability like yours and then channel that into new entrepreneurial activity here?
Yeah. So, yeah, exactly right. And we've started on a big campaign to, not that we always haven't, but really focus on technology in our company. And, we're talking about things like how AI affects our business and how it affects our clients. And so, I think we've been so lucky to be based here in Orange County because it traditionally and early on has been a very sophisticated commercial real estate market. Some of the most amazing real estate entrepreneurs in the country and in the world came out of here, and they were our clients. So we've certainly benefited from that and been able to take that on the road, so to speak, which is why clients have taken us to so many other markets.
Sure.
So we are not only a beautiful place to live and work, but it's really an entrepreneurial place.
It is.
And, it really is. And it's largely that whole atmosphere that exists here is largely responsible for our firm being so successful.
Do you think the entrepreneurial spirit that is kind of the backbone here will seize this new world of investment, which is typically, I mean, you mentioned AI, somebody who's been building buildings for the last 30, 40 years and AI are pretty far apart. And as you think, like, I look at this area and say, like, this should be a real estate technology, property technology hotbed, but largely the real estate folks have lived in this silo and the software folks have lived in this silo. So what do you think we can do better to create more of that cross-pollination and collaboration?
Well, I'm excited. This is one of the reasons I'm excited about CLA because, traditionally, this is a place where it's a natural platform for entrepreneurs. And most of us, and why, to your point, sort of the silo effect may have happened and does definitely happen here. People are busy. They're doing their business. They're building their business, right? They're excited and they're building their business. This sort of collaboration that's happening in CLA at a very high level of great companies. I mean, amazing. We're honored to be part of it, but I don't think has really happened in this way before. And an idea that says, well, we want to be seen here in Orange County as a viable option to springboard new technology and entrepreneurship, and we are that. I think that one of the things is that maybe we haven't gone out into the world and sold that idea very much.
Right. We don't talk about it. That's right.
But I think that's what we're working on, right? And so, how do you maximize the community? And I think it ties into what we're doing with the homeless thing too. I mean, it all ties together. How do we raise the community so that we have an awesome place in every possible way? And I think engaging our and helping to solve this homeless problem and encourage as many of those people to get back to a productive place in society and help them get there is just a big part of it. As say, here comes a young entrepreneur with an awesome idea, and how do we support him making the next amazing company here in Orange County? And we're seeing it. We're seeing both of those things happen, and I think they're not disparate. Those are
absolutely
part of the same thing as far as I'm concerned. Right?
I totally agree. Right?
It's exciting to see that. I mean, the excitement here once was tons of orange groves that got turned into amazing commercial real estate. We had to work on that for quite a while until we became this thing. And now we are this thing. And what are we going to do with it? That's the key. What are we going to do with this amazing community that we have to push it up on yet another level? That's why I get excited about it.
I love that. So let's go a little under the hood on, you mentioned United in Homelessness. We were talking a little bit about that before. Give the audience a little bit of orientation to kind of how this has come together and, amazing impact. And then I want to go, as we were talking about earlier, this idea of like, what can we learn from that, find ways to come together to address other things, which I actually believe, and a lot of people have heard me say this, that, producing early stage idea-centric companies that we can export, right? It's hard to export. I mean, you guys do that with your architecture and things to other places. And it is kind of an IP export, but the knowledge economy, the software world that I've lived most of my career in is about develop it here, export it elsewhere, and then bring it back and reinvest. And I think we need more of that, as that's the economy of today and the future. Yeah. So let's talk about United in Homelessness, and I know, and then we'll go from there.
Okay. Well, I'm so excited about United in Homelessness because, we're 2.5 years in, maybe not even quite that. Man,
it feels like to me it's been 10 years going.
Good.
Right? But yeah, it's great.
Because, I think, oh gosh, homelessness is obviously a very complicated issue. The United Way here in Orange County is an amazing agency. We have lots of awesome nonprofits. I love the United Way. We've been involved in the United Way for 25 years. I finally decided, we need to do something about this homeless thing. I joined the board. Sue Parks, their amazing CEO, and I and a lot of other people cooked up this idea that what are we going to do about homelessness, and how can we be most effective? So along with Jamboree, we commissioned a cost study at UCI to find the gaps, because there's already work. Obviously, work was going on in Orange County to address homelessness. Lots of work. Lots of other nonprofits, the county, some cities, all kinds of people were working on it. So we did not want to be duplicative of what was happening, but we wanted to understand it and where the gaps were, and then hopefully fill the gaps with direct action to be a part of the solution. So that's kind of the idea. So one of the things was to bring more awareness in the community to garner support for solutions. And so sort of public awareness and advocating, I think, we, as part of the mission, sort of our signature program is Welcome Home OC, where we're working with apartment landlords, again, real estate entrepreneurs, right? To make some of their apartments available to us, where we can place a person that is homeless, that has a housing voucher, a HUD voucher in their hand, which is assigned by the county, and get them housed. And get as many of these people housed as we possibly can. There's also projects being built, apartment buildings with care in them, permanent supportive housing, PSH is how we refer to it. And we are not directly involved in those other than to advocate for them, because that's also part of the solution. Our biggest signature problem issue that we're working on is this Welcome Home OC. So We've got landlords signed up into a program. We have nonprofit partners that help us with providing services to a person once they're placed in an apartment. We fundraised directly for that, and we're making great progress. We've got a ways to go, a long way to go, but we're building momentum, and we've raised some money, and we're going to knock the number down significantly, which is
and I think that infrastructure is so critical, because obviously, like part of the fear that I have in the world that I live in is this pace of change of technology is only increasing, and that has the potential. You think about something like AI that you mentioned earlier, it has the potential to displace massively more jobs and more people, and that obviously is a really bad thing when it comes to things like housing, and we tend to be in a very expensive housing market here. So as I think about it, it's our job as leaders here to really plan ahead and think about not just housing infrastructure, but skill, job, opportunity infrastructure, right? So as radical as it may sound, I feel like the things and the processes you all went through to think about United in Homelessness, I feel like the same kinds of opportunities exist to think about, United to start more companies, United to create more jobs, because those typically, there's a huge need for that safety net for sure, but the job, the purpose of being able to get up and have something to do every day and a purpose to be in this world is obviously also key. And, that to me is this huge opportunity that we're going to need to pay attention to over the next 10 years. And, I don't know if I told you this, I grew up in a family business that lasted almost 150 years.
Oh, wow.
And my dad sold it to retire a couple of years ago, or else it would still be going. But it would be easy to say, hey, we just kept doing the same thing, showed up every day, opened the store, people showed up. But I think we're in this phase of the world where a lot of what got us here isn't going to get us there going forward. And so, as you think about, your industry is in, the highest level of disruption it's ever been in right now, which doesn't mean it's going away. It just is going to have to change, right? And
all the time.
So how do you think we can leverage some of these great things that you guys have done with United in Homelessness and apply that to more the entrepreneurial realm here?
Yeah, so think about it. I mean, you can apply the example to everything you just said. I mean, think about it. You stabilize a person in a home, and maybe there's upskill. OC.
That's right. Yeah, which is amazing.
United Way has an upskill program too, right? So, lots of open jobs here in Orange County, right? Wouldn't it be great to fill them and at the same time somebody get restabilized and contribute? So what does that do? That just adds to the whole equation. So it benefits everybody. If we're looking for a reason to do this, and I'm talking about the homeless thing, but it really ties to everything else you're saying. For the benefit of the entire community, that's what we have to do. It's also less burdensome on the taxpayer. There's no other reason. I mean, if we can house somebody that's on the street or in a shelter, in an apartment, cost to the taxpayer goes like in half. So, I mean, and then if that person's a person you can get stabilized and maybe they can re-enter the workforce at some point, then it's just, an incredible win. So apply that to anything, you're talking about, and we can do that here.
Yeah, I totally agree. We have I always say we have everything we need here. It's about connecting it together, orienting
which is relatively new concept here,
That's right.
because like I said, everyone's just been hard charging, building their business, and really, it's nothing wrong with that. But I think there's an opportunity right now, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's great. So your background as, architect, planner, as you think about the Orange County community, we have 34 cities. We a lot of people are critical that we don't have this center core. We don't have a a downtown LA, downtown San Diego, which during this crisis has actually proved generally to be a positive thing in that we haven't. So as you think about planning and architecture and what really drives community, what is it? You've worked across all kinds of different types of commercial projects and properties. Is there one that you tend to point to and go, that's where community really kind of starts from?
Yeah, you know, yeah, I don't know if you, I'll use Irvine for an example, because, you know, it's a great city. It's here. It's like, you know, it's, our firm has been headquartered in Irvine its entire life, which 48 years. Those have been around a while. You know, it was this nationally and internationally known place that was based on a big master plan of residential areas, commercial areas, industrial areas, you know, all this kind of stuff. Well, over the last, call it 10, 15 years, that has gotten really mixed up. The zoning has changed to adapt, I think, to now who we are. You know, I'll give you an example. And we've got all these apartments now built in the IBC, which is great. You know, I think it's worked out really, really well. I think that we've got in the old industrial core in Irvine, many of those buildings are becoming converted to creative office space. Because think about it, when this thing started, the older industrial buildings that were built in the 70s are kind of like at Main and Main. Main and Main wants the higher quality real estate product, right? So those things are getting converted now because of where they sit, and also because as industrial product, it's obsolete. So it's really kind of cool right here in our neighborhood to watch this evolution. And this is a relatively young community. I mean, it's only been since the 70s, right? It's not, we're not talking about Boston here. So, you know, the rate of change just here is like a little case study, which you can see. And we're going to continue to go more vertical and more dense. That's what we're going to do. I think the idea that we don't have one city, or, you know, we don't have an LA in Orange County, we're 34 cities. I think that's the beauty of it.
I agree. That's right. It's like you can have any life you want, right?
It makes us super unique, and you know, like you say, I mean, it's a beautiful place. You know, who could argue with it? You know, so and that's the other thing within our community, within the Orange County community. There's all kinds of cultural aspects and you know, opportunity to go different places and work and live in different communities that are a little bit different. And I think that's pretty cool too, and gives us a lot of strength. A lot of opportunity. And the redevelopment opportunities are huge here. So lots to do still in Orange County.
Absolutely. So as you think about ways that we can promote more of those collisions that we were talking about earlier, any thoughts on how we use the infrastructure, or in some cases the lack therein, to promote more of those collisions, or frankly curiosity to go explore other
well, that's the beauty of it, because we're not so locked in, you know, to some paradigm. You know, it's a pretty different paradigm. And you look at any other county. Well, what are we, the 6th largest county in the United States? Is there any other county that big that looks like this? I don't think so.
That's right.
It's a unique opportunity. And so I think whenever, you know, there's a group of people that are interested in trying something out, making it happen, testing it, you know, it's like the lab in the camp. That's pretty cool. That's right? I mean, that's pretty neat. You know, there's lots of examples of that. I can go on with this. You know, the creative office conversions have been really cool. The e-commerce has just been unbelievable to watch and to be part of, and to see, you know, what goes into adapting our real estate to make that make sense, you know. There's all kinds of opportunity. It's really limitless, you know, and I think the cool kind of exponential, the idea, there's an exponential opportunity now that instead of all kinds of us working separately, if, you know, we can get these little collisions of people working together on a cool idea to make something happen, like, you know, the homeless thing, or pick anything. CLA I think has tremendous opportunity to do that. you know, and with all the little kind of startup companies coming out of places like the Cove. And I mean, you know, I think that that's the basis. I think that idea, put all that together, what I just said, and it can become this next thing for us, for Orange County, that surpasses anything we've ever done up until now.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting. So as you've worked with, no doubt, countless entrepreneurs over your years, helping them design their spaces, and you know, what has it been? What is it about the work that you've done, you know, that really helps them kind of express their stories or what they're trying to do in the world?
Well, that's the cool thing about our business. We work with all kinds of businesses. Every business needs space, and every business has a culture and a function and the way they work, and they're all unique, you know. And so there's the beautiful thing about it is you get to collaborate with a group of people to improve their business, to make it better for their employees to want to come there. So it's sort of retention and recruiting kind of an idea. It's what can we do to help support your culture and to help you achieve your business goals? So how do I design space to help you make that happen? At the same time, we're real estate experts. How do we design space so that when you outgrow your space, or you know, have your exit and you sell to a big company, how does this real estate still work for somebody else and is marketable? So those are the kind of things we talk about. One of the things we've always talked about too is sort of this future-proofing idea. That's kind of a buzzword now, future-proofing. We used to call it long-term real estate value, which is what our company's based on. We design buildings that have long-term real estate value. Well, now we've sort of applied this idea, well, how do you build in flexibility, or at least think about it when you're designing a building for to future-proof it? You know, what happens if we all stop driving cars?
Sure.
Do we need parking garages anymore?
I've already had that speculation of like, let's jam a bunch of shipping containers in there, and we got a huge number of apartments.
Yeah, you know.
I don't know. I don't know what the answer is.
So, you know, design is an amazing field because you get to work with all these different kinds of people, and we get great ideas. I mean, clients influence how we design in a big way because they're amazing entrepreneurs and they are creative and driven, and we learn from them. So that's the exciting thing about our business, I think.
That's really cool. So, you know, I mentioned, you know, starting this a year ago, and a big part of this was about trying to highlight, you know, create another forum for highlighting innovative leaders, entrepreneurs, people here that are driving change in Orange County and driving change in the world, you know, folks like you. And I feel so privileged. I don't think we do a great job in Orange County of the storytelling, the sort of historically tribal idea of telling stories to inspire and inform and excite folks. So I've just had, part of why I started this is too many people saying, you know, it's just nothing going on here, and I don't know what's going on here, and I'm going, no, it's the opposite. There's amazing things happening here, and we're just not talking about it enough. So you think about, you know, the things that you feel like from where you sit, the things we could do to get, if we want to get 100 more companies started in Orange County in the next few years, what are the things you feel like we could do to excite and inspire more people to go do that? And maybe that means they leave WARE MALCOMB and go do it, or they leave one of the other bigger companies here. But you know, what do you feel like we can do better to, you know, inspire more of that to happen?
Yeah, so, well, one of the things I'm big on is mentoring, and you know, I think we're doing that in places like the Cove and other places, and a lot of my colleagues on CLA definitely do that. And but I think that, you know, as young people come up, and one of the, you know, they need to be inspired and encouraged and have the opportunity to learn from us that have made a lot of mistakes and tried different things and hopefully been successful. And, I think once again, it's an opportunity for some collisions to take place, and whether that's formal or informal, but I think encouraging people with ambition is a big deal and important, because it's what happened to me. And so, here in our company, what's fueled a lot of our growth is giving our people here opportunities to grow in their career and understanding what they want to do and helping them to get there. And creating those opportunities. And so a big part of why we ended up with all these offices is because clients ask us to go and promote somebody from within and give them an opportunity to go grow something, and then coach them, help them figure it out. And so, I would apply the same idea to Orange County as a whole.
Sure.
Encourage that for sure.
I like that. I think that's a great model. What is it about Orange County you most appreciate?
Well, I'm a Midwest guy, right? I came from near Cleveland, and which I still love. And it's the Rust Belt, and I learned a lot about what makes communities successful and obsolete, I guess, in some respects. And I think just opportunity is what it is here. I've been very, very fortunate. When we moved here, it was a big decision to move to the West Coast originally, but it's worked out quite well. And it's really just because of the inherent opportunity here.
Yeah, there's a dynamicism. I grew up in Indiana, and there was just this progressiveness, this dynamicism. It's
a spirit. I've said it millions of times. It's an entrepreneurial spirit here in Orange County, and opportunity comes from that. And so, very grateful for that. And I want to encourage, I guess, just the same way I was.
Sure. Yeah, I love that. I mean, a lot of what I'm doing, I feel like is about that for my kids, and wanting them to come back here, not feeling like things have gotten stale or complacent, but that this is a place that's focused on the next set of big ideas.
Yeah.
Just like it has been. And so that's what I'm hopeful that we see more of that. So as you think about that change, I mean, you mentioned AI and the firm looking more and more at technology, which is really exciting for me to hear. How do you keep yourself sharp?
Well, I get involved in a lot of different things, and I'm also an artist. I'm a commercial artist. I show all over the world, and I've been very fortunate in my art career, which is sort of my second career. But it influences how I think. And so I think the creative idea there, the freedom of artistic expression, I've always said, sort of makes me a better leader here. I think the experience here at where MALCOMB and in my career has actually made me a better artist as well.
That's fascinating.
And so, and I also read a lot. I've always, our company, we've always encouraged people to read a lot of business books, and I've been influenced big time by some very specific ideas that I've read. And so I read all the time, just continuous learning. I think you can never stop learning. People around here have heard me talk about it forever, but I draw great inspiration from Leonardo da Vinci, because he had the whole brain thinking. He wasn't just a creative person. He was a very creative person, but he was also very technical. And there's so many aspects to what made him go. I refer to him as the greatest genius that ever lived. And I draw inspiration from him because he never stopped learning up until the end of his life. So I think that's very important, to keep growing, keep learning, all the time.
I think that's amazing. That is, and I think probably what keeps me in this kind of bleeding edge, cutting edge venture world is that I get presented with new ideas every day, and that's exciting.
It is.
It could be scary at times because I go, oh, everything that I thought about up until now is now rendered obsolete because of this amazing new idea. But
right.
But it is exciting.
Yeah.
And, probably somewhere down deep in me, there's this paranoia of irrelevance or something that drives me to stay on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly right. It's kind of how I felt, especially when I was running the company. I always felt a responsibility, but not just that. I think a need or even a pressure that I needed to stay out in front of my company at all times, And what does that mean every day? You got to bring it every day.
Yeah, that's amazing. So one of the things that I've observed is that if you look at the most valuable companies in the world now, obviously, you can find all those charts that show the change in enterprise values of companies, and you've seen companies like Amazon and Google and Microsoft and these very technology centric companies. How have you, as a very progressive leader and innovator in an industry that I think most would call kind of a professional services type of industry, how have you guys contemplated rethinking what kind of business are you, right? Can you become a technology company? Because part of what's actually scared me a little bit is that I think a lot of the companies that are historically successful here in Orange County haven't made that leap to maybe we should rethink ourselves as a technology company, because if we don't, we have the chance of being disrupted by somebody in our industry who does. So how have you reconciled, or do you see others, whether it's the accounting firms or law firms or others around here, how do you see people orienting around that?
Well, first of all, if you're not a technology company in 2020, you're not a company. Most. I mean, take our profession is made up of very, very highly educated people.
Yes.
Right. We're taught whole brain thinking, so we're not, we're very technical, but we're very artistic. And it's an old profession. I mean, we're not a new type of a business, right? We've been around forever. And our industry builds buildings. The construction industry innovates at a very incremental. I mean, we still build out of concrete. The Romans built out of concrete. Okay, so not that we don't have new technology, we do.
Sure.
But as far as design goes, you always have to be pushing the technology. We're so much more productive and efficient, and our new grads that coming out of school are so much more technically oriented these days. Even when I drew on a drafting board with my pencil, I mean, I'm still somebody who did that.
Sure.
So our profession has come kind of light years technologically, and we've got a ways to go. Definitely, and we have to keep pushing that for sure. Yeah. So. Well,
I love the quote, in 2020, if you're not a technology company, you're not a company. That may be the headline of this entire conversation. So, final lap, Larry. Paul's giving me the time sign here. He manages me. Otherwise, I can continue this for a long, long time. One of the things I always ask my guests is to share kind of a, you've shared so much wisdom already, but that kind of a key lesson or piece of advice or something. So if you think about those entrepreneurs that are trying to get off the ground here in Orange County, that are the next generation that are going to help us redevelop and reinvent this amazing place that you and I both have a very soft spot in our heart for. What advice or lesson would you have for those early entrepreneurs that I have a lot of in my audience?
Yeah. I think that and I talked about this in the commencement speech I gave, you have to be doing what you love, what you really, really believe in.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not so excited to get up every day and do it, I'm not sure you should be doing it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be doing that. And then you just have to work hard. It's so simple, right? It's so like not profound, but
Mm-hmm.
you got to work your ass off. You have to, and you got to be willing to take some punches.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to fail. You got to be willing to fail and then learn and then get up and do better,
Mm-hmm.
And not give up, I think, and then you got to take risks. You got to be willing to take a risk. If you don't take a risk, you're not going to make it. So you got to be sort of that combination, I think,
Mm-hmm.
is I think super important. It's sort of like, love what you do, work hard,
Mm-hmm.
take risks.
Mm-hmm.
And then as you're building your company, you have to have a number two. You've got to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a lot of entrepreneurs flail around because
Mm-hmm.
they don't have their good number two. You have to hire or partner with somebody who has skill sets that you don't have,
Mm-hmm.
for the benefit of your business as you're building it. And
Mm-hmm.
that's super important. So, okay, there you go. That's enough of that.
Oh, that is just gold.
I can keep going, but
there's so much gold there, Larry. Thank you for that. Thank you for taking us on this ride. Thank you for your amazing impact and leadership in the business community here, in the broader community through your work at United Way. This has been a complete delight to have you on. I would love to continue this conversation, and just know you're doing your part to accelerate OC. So I appreciate you for that.
Well, thanks. I really appreciate it. This was fun, and yeah, anytime. Do it some more.
Very good.
Thanks, Gary.
You've just listened to Accelerate OC. Join our live recordings every Tuesday morning at accelerateoc.com, or listen, like, and share anytime from your favorite podcast spot. Let's accelerate OC together.